a load of drink containers, half of which were beer ones. Bonus for me, I did find a full can of beer. It was good too. But that kind of thing, people see streets, notice them, and even the main street at times is grubby. Shouldn't be. However, but the big issue that I have for you is the closing of Bunnings. They're due to close on the 23rd of June next year. Kerikeri has 5 businesses of that nature. We've only got 1. And we cannot afford to have that business close if it's not going to be replaced with something similar.
I think ITM's coming in to replace it.
Beg pardon?
ITM.
Is that a given or you just speculation?
They're interested.
Okay, we'll take it. So that if that happens, there's probably not a great deal to worry about because in one way you can't interfere with private enterprise. But we've got to have an industry of that nature in this town. Otherwise, that industrial park just down the road there is a pointless exercise. For the hell of it.
But I can see that it'll be a great. I mean, if Bunnings left and nobody else went, it'll be a great roller skating rink, wouldn't it?
Beg your pardon?
It'd be a great roller skating rink, wouldn't it?
It was once. In fact, if it comes down to that, it was public property. It was a children's playground once. So that there is an obligation, having taken the kids' playground, that it remains as it, or something similar. And somehow, maybe a phone call from Mr. Carter to Mr. Bunning might have some benefit, don't know, but whatever it is, something has to happen, something has to give.
Okay. Mr. Busick has a question for you.
Yeah.
Hang on, we'll just wait for that.
Let's wait for that call.
Yes, and us, our Bunnings are both closing down and opening a big sister one in Wellington.
I didn't think they were closing down the Kerikeri one. I thought they were okay, that's okay.
Waipapa. From what I understand, is they're making a big one of Waipapa and incorporating Kerikeri.
Okay.
Well, they might be going to do that, and I've had that put to me yesterday, but it's Kerikeri is not Kaikohe.
Yep.
So sure.
Half-hour drive.
And that industrial park out there, 700 acres, is a potential there for a hell of a lot of things. It's just another Kaikohe.
There is a lot actually happening, and I'm sure the chair of the community board Mr. Chair of the community board, the chair of the business association will give us a bit of an update of something. But just a question for you, Sean. Tell me that I know you broke your hip or your leg.
Pardon?
I know you broke your hip or your leg, so tell me you're not still walking the streets picking up rubbish, and when you fell over...
There's 9 inches of steel in my leg from there to there.
Tell me when you fell over, it wasn't on our roads tripping over a bit of rubbish, was it?
Yes. It wasn't. I fell over in the concrete in the old dairy factories.
Watch out for that.
It's the cell phone that did the damage. It landed like that.
Oh, no.
I'll tell you what was bloody painful.
I bet.
And I stayed there for half an hour because nobody came. Yelled and yelled and yelled and nobody came.
Not even the grandchildren.
They came soon. Oh, half an hour somebody turned up. Well, what are you doing down there?
All right, that's enough.
Well, as long as it's not our roads, Sean, but thank you for your feedback. I'm sure it's going to be followed through.
No, it's all right. No, the roads are all right. Yeah. Cool.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cheers.
You didn't have more, Sean.
Big one.
Sure you had more.
If I remember it, I'll come back.
Do what I did and write some notes and come back. So, yep, thank you for the opportunity, and I think we'll speak first to maybe Bunnings. Yes, there is an interest, and I was talking to Terry Henwood, because obviously Henwood Construction. His main concern is Bunnings does not provide much in the way of tools and the smaller items that the handyman needs. So we need more than ITM to actually come on.
Like
board.
another hammer hardware.
Another hammer hardware, and I was speaking to, I've forgotten his name, the Kaikohe Business Association chair who runs hammer hardware, and just flagged up there, this is what's happening. We need somebody else to come in. So I'll follow up with him as well, and it's looking for those ways to support the business community and the community at home. So any other questions? So it's something that we are working on, and if we go back in history, Jack Peltzner has a relationship with the CEO of Bunnings, so there is a bit of negotiation there as well with somebody who knows the hierarchy, so to speak. But definitely the move to Waipapa, both the current Bunnings facilities in Kirikiri has been deemed unsuitable, the lease is ended, so obviously Bunnings is looking at another area. If you've been into our local Bunnings during the heat of summer, it is very hot and uncomfortable for the workers, and during the cold season it is very cold. So to make it more suitable and safer for the people, but to actually move away from a service area in Kaikohe, which is pivotal for serving the Hokianga and the other area. It makes it far too far to go across to Waipapa. It increases the costs, which are already growing due to transportation, roading conditions, which we'll put in a plug there as well. And I keep plugging with the Business Association meetings on a Thursday morning saying, look, the one-way bridge across Tahiki has been dropped off the actual roading portfolio. It was one of the 12 one-way bridges to be worked on. Now, if we get a major flood, that takes out
all the
Hokianga.
Yeah.
It's substantial in the way that it takes out the Hokianga.
Yeah.
Other ways around, if it is a major flood, going up through Broadwood, you're going to have flooding there.
Yeah.
Going up through Dargaville, well, the trees can fall over. So there has to be some address, and I'm not sure whether you as a community board can put any weight towards that. My next backup comment to Anne Court, who has that portfolio or is working with the roading, is, well, if we can't do anything about the bridge itself, the last major flood, high tide, a lot of water coming back down from the hills around Tahiki, a log from the edge of the river was sent down basically as a torpedo. With the high flood, it actually hit the clip-on bridging framework. I was there when the council civil engineer turned up to check out the bridge, hoping that they wouldn't close it. But the other option is looking at maybe engaging with Northland Regional Council as well. How do we assist the farmers or take on community responsibility to clear those waterways of any debris that may be going to then damage that bridge? So looking at other ways around it. Mr. Chair, you asked if our dear friend Sean here had heard back from the CEO. Now, there's a lot of us in the community that have not yet had an opportunity to be introduced to the current whānau CEO. We would love that opportunity, and I don't know how to arrange it, whether it's private invites, but if I'm one voice saying we'd like to meet him, can there be something arranged from your angle, or how do we go about opening up the door of communication there?
Yeah, I'll make a note.
What about a meet and greet evening with the community and the CEO?
Yeah, I can follow that up and just see what.
Yeah, some sort of even event that just says this is this is what we've got, this is our plans for the future.
Are you going to get onto the Business Association event?
I am going to get onto the business association event. I'm taking taking our chair's word and saying, share what you'd like to share. Okay.
Sorry, Linda, normally we have morning tea after public forum.
Okay.
But we just had a big breakfast, so speak as long as you want so we can agree again.
Yeah, okay, no, morning coffee breaks are important to get the business done later on. There is an indication that the Peterson's building was bought for a purpose, and there are some discussions going on around there. I just want to highlight, yes, I know that, you know, there's some talk that will be made more public later on, but looking at the history of the Peterson's building, now part of that building was originally brought over from the mine that was established at Nafa. So the Cinnabar mine, the mercury mine, that was developed in the early 1900s. Now, I don't know what part of it is there, and I don't know what condition it is in, but I'm wondering, as a part of the history of the town and the region, whether that is something, before we just push down the building, something to be looked at, and whether it could be a larger event structure depending on condition, whether it is something that we could move as a community, funded by Far North District Council, hopefully, move on to our historic site, to move on to Pioneer Village, to create hopefully another area. We've already got a concrete pad there. I don't know what the vision is for that pad, but I just want to highlight that. And I've asked Sean, who's got an excellent long-term memory, and he tells me he's got a book that shares the stories of Nafa that I'm yet to read. So just a little bit of research in that area, so we're not losing some of the historic buildings in town, and that we can, again, create opportunities to focus on one of our gems that we have in town, which is Pioneer Village. It's part of the history that can be used to be part of growing and understanding the roots of an area. Okay, I've got a few flyers. I've got one flyer. I've got one flyer left. The Business Association has decided to run an event and combine some issues. So we are excited. We are really excited about what is happening with the Innovation Park. And there's been various opportunities to communicate with it. So with discussions with Wayne Rogers, with COB and with Andy Knock, we've come together with a special event. And mark your diaries, July the 25th, starting at 4 p.m, there will be a bus tour of the Innovation Park, a 1-hour bus tour. So if you haven't been around there lately, Wayne will be our communicator. We will meet at the Digital Centre, Tikona, just before 4. We've got at the moment a 50-seat bus arranged, and there's an RSVP, so I can circulate this to you guys, or I can give it to you, your secretary, to circulate to you. Following that, we go back for coffee and nibbles, and then are followed with roughly a 15-minute presentation from Wayne, and looking at job opportunities for the future. Talking with Sue and Andy, they went through a bit of a down feeling, saying the berry farm didn't get up and kick in and have all that employment for Kaikohe. And I just reflected on the fact that since the first sod was turned, they have engaged local people there. You're talking Henwoods, you're talking engineers, you're talking electricians, you're talking local type people. Yes, they need the Bunnings or the like Bunnings for material. Their former plan, their future plan, which you'll hear about, is looking at creating training opportunities, and part of the building training is to actually then move to the next stage and be building homes that can be sent out into the community. Part of a relationship with the Northland Regional Corrections Facility is to get the guys from behind the wire who have been trained in carpentry and skills, to get them onto a secure site on the industrial park area and for them to also start building. So it's reintegrating work and building our workforce to then build the businesses locally. You might have heard that in response to events, we've been working with the police and trying to develop more of a community thrust. Prior to our event of a bit of a disruption in the middle of town, we'd applied for $60,000 to look at upgrading the current CCTV that we have in town. We were successful in getting $30,000 for current upgrades and another $30,000 for covering Lindvard Park area. So whether it is sportsful dedicated or whether it is looking at the park, depending on what happens to that Lindvard Pavilion, that may turn into who knows what, but there will need to be more lighting and more CCTV cameras. Come along and hear the update. Our recent update on Monday night said that we are already set up to receive in the Kaikohe monitoring office in the police station. We've got the technology to start receiving footage from Kaikohe if they put them up in Rotorua, so to make it more of a hub, which then looks at police presence in Kaikohe and bringing back growth in that area. That's another topic there. One of the other speakers is Mark Anderson, who has been the previous chair of the Business Association, very successful in Bridgestone tyres, and he's recently sold that building, developed it first and sold it. He is going to be speaking on invigorating the future of the businesses in Kaikohe. So coming with that plan of how can we be more focused on invigorating businesses as a business association, and maybe some of the other agenda items that we've had to look at ways to encourage the community to be the main stakeholders, to have them have a presence in some way that they can drive the development. And to me, it is about the attitude, the social entity, what we've lost in the past when we said Kaikohe pride, what we've lost in the past where we had Ngāpui pride, what we've lost in the past where we sometimes forget to acknowledge that in the 1900s, the railway was brought through. And because we had the railway, we then had Kaikohe seen as a service centre, Te Puti Whika, a service centre flowing out. So you've got the Māori heritage understanding of Te Puti Whika, but we also can look back in history and see that having the railway here as a transportation service venue then meant the industries local, the wood wasn't being transported down the roads, it was being put on the rail. It was being developed in other ways. If you go back a little bit more in history, a lot of the early business people within Kaikohe were focused on, again, supporting the community in the way of opportunities for places to sell the gum that was picked up off the ground and later dug. Opportunities to look at how to market our local produce. I believe Innovation Park is picking up that thread in a big way, and we need to be supporting them. I could continue on, but I think that's enough.
No, you're okay.
Well, one more. Question, one more. The look of Kaikohe. Now, if you go through the street, a lot of the buildings are showing a lot of wear and tear, and a lot of them are absentee landlords. So those leasing have not got the power to look at maintaining buildings. That then goes on to the streets, and I have noticed that yes, we do have a cleaning of the streets, so they're water blasted on the odd occasion, but during this time of flooding, the drains are constantly blocked with leaves. Yes, we are in the near autumn fall of leaves. The overgrowth of the verges means we have not got a good system for dealing with flooding. And has been highlighted by a letter that has just been sent to the Far North District Council. We need some way to address the speed of traffic going through our town. It's a safety issue. We've got some pedestrian crossings, but we have got, for some unknown reason, both cars and motorbikes known to accelerate once they hit that intersection where the bank and the left bank are. They basically go through the intersection, hit the throttle and go. Future development with housing says that that area is going to be used more frequently with the like of Lamb's Pies as a regular crossing point. The development of housing plus the health area that is there, plus, you know, even going across from the other shops, the butchers, Vic's Butchers and that, crossing that area is becoming more and more dangerous. So whether it is address the speed, which I believe will come as we look at CCTV cameras and capturing it, whether it is looking at what ARCO did with Recreation Park, which is putting in what they call courtesy crossings. So a little, not a speed bump, but a little lift in the road that slows a lot of the traffic. But it's just something to be considered. Okay, that's it. So sorry, Mike.
Okay, that's okay. That's it. Right, you okay with questions?
Can I have a question?
Okay. Yeah, we'll start with you, then we'll go.
What time of the meeting? Is it just before 4?
So on the back here, I'm not sure who you want this here, it says 4:10, the bus leaves Tikona Digital Learning Centre, Hub, 74 Guy Road. 5 p.m. it returns for light refreshments. Who am I giving this to? 5:15, the 3 gifts speak, and we are finishing with a very brief AGM so that we can set up the next committee for the future years. And yes, I will be standing as chair, but that depends on I'm either voted in or voted out. So, yeah. Next question.
Yeah, I do have a question, Linda. First off, thanks for your attendance to the community board. We haven't had that luxury in the past where the chair of the Business Association had made regular attendance, so thank you for that. And so therefore we're getting that feedback. One of the questions I do have is that I do know the Business Association is looking at the plan, the community plan. I do know that we have Laurel looking at a, Kaikohe, Safer Community or Safer Community Kaikohe, I've got the name there just now. And we're looking at placemaking. There's placemaking done by ARCO, and then there is the cyclists and so on. So there's a number of different groups that are actually out there trying to work within Kaikohe. And I'm just wondering what your thoughts and comments are in terms of the Business Association role in all of that, and how can we get a good feedback and engagement from the community. So we've got the Business Association and we've got the community, but that seems to be a bit, we don't have a ratepayers association. And when you look at other places like Focus Pie here and Rowan area ratepayers and Rowan, we seem to be lacking a body that can stand up and start advocating from people of Kaikohe, for Kaikohe, and to actually help coordinate all these different events, because everybody doing bits and pieces is not going to create a nice, workable, consistent plan, as I said. So that's a long-winded question, and maybe it's focusing around the Business Association response to that.
I was going to say, what was the question, John?
How does the Business Association fit in all of that, and are you aware of these issues that I just raised?
Okay. So I'll follow on, I think the easiest way is to create a bit of a track record. Yes, the Business Association in the past has picked up a lot of what I call ratepayers association issues, because there is no other venue that they see to address some of the community issues. I acknowledge that, but in order to be an effective business association, we need to start and focus on innovating businesses, which is the lead of that document and the event we've got planned. Recently, I was present at that street event, as in on the ground, and the response that we chose to drive after that event was to call together a lot of the, what we thought, community leads within that area. So we had a hui, basically instigated by the Kaikohe Business Association, but trying to pull in what I have seen in the past as a whole lot of silos that have grown around the city, all attempting out of the goodness of their heart to address the issues that they're seeing, but they're not connected and not presenting a collaborative effort to move forward. Out of that particular hui, we came up with some short-term responses, and as in an immediate response, which was writing a letter to local MPs, officials. We didn't hear back from Calvin Davies, but carries the portfolio. The concern was the rising gangs and incidents in town, and the presence of firearms was that driving force for that one. But along with that, we drew in an acknowledgement of where is the venue for people to address the issues. So what happened out of that was, yes, the letter went to and has been responded by the Commissioner of the Police, Tony Hill, looking at ways that we can address it. Medium term, we looked at several options, which means a lot of those groups need to come together and to actually agree on a way to move ahead. So Laurel has been crucial in her administrative role in helping us to pull together, to take minutes for those meetings and to hear the voice of the community rather than being dictated to by other authorities. Tony Hill, the Police Commissioner, has also acknowledged that in response to certain events, funding from a government level is going out to solo type or to government organisations. And again, it's been a government directive rather than a community initiative. Trying to answer your question, with the mid to long-term goals that were set at that first hui we had, there has been a draft proposal written, Kaikohe Safer Communities. That needs to be, we acknowledge and we agreed on Monday that we were the instigators. We're now looking for support for that mandate to form a community group that moves ahead in trying to object those goals that we have set. Had we been able to act in agreement a lot quicker, we probably would have had some form of community, whether it is police, whether it is security guys, but we could have had a trial of people walking the streets in Kaikohe by now. It's been a few months since then, but it's been developing and listening to the voice of the community that is crucial in that. Yes, Kaikohe Business Association has a part to play, but I don't believe it is the lead. So we have agreed to hand that over to be developed by the community, to look for with Laurel's support, who's already gone around the community and talked to several of the initiative groups, to pull on board others, to look at how do we develop that.
I'm going to wrap you up there. So we're going to move along with other questions.
Yep, great.
I think just keep the answers fairly prompt so we can, I think it probably is about time we wrapped up.
Yep.
Laurie, did you have a question?
No, I think our biggest problem are our schools. We have people going to Kirikiri so the kids can go to school there, and that's, I'm not talking about local school, highly successful. But there are other primary schools within our area that are struggling. And Telstra is highly successful as well because of that principal, how she runs that school. Went from two classes to 7. And I think the Business Association need to see if they can help in, especially the West School. It's been struggling financially. I know the East is well run, but and the intermediate, well, it's just about non-existent. And until we get those schools, and you never, in your presentation, never mentioned the schools once.
Okay.
And the schools are so vital to our community to stop that white flight that we've got going away. So I think you need to put a bit more effort into those schools if you can.
Okay.
Kelly, do you have any comments? Okay, Muffle?
So can I just respond to that briefly?
I didn't think there was a question. It was just a statement. So.
So responding to the statement, Chicky has been engaged in that Hui consultation as the representative. So Chicky from East School, who is also the representative for the principal of all the schools there. So my failure to mention it is not a failure to.
Is the lead principal for our community of learning, our COL, which includes all of the schools up to Waima, across to Ohaiwai or Kaikohe and everything in between.
Okay, you want to make any comments, questions, Alan? No. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Linda?
Yeah.
Much appreciated.
Did I have?
Did you think of something more, did you?
Careful there, Sean.
I'm concerned about the banking situation in Kaikohe.
In the country.
It's getting to the stage where it's almost non-existent. The banks are closing, disappearing, shorter hours, and yet there is a proposal that probably has some merit. A banking hub as an innovation idea. The Westpac Bank is ideally suited for such a concept, and there is place there to accommodate 6 different banks. A banking hub, if we're going to lose our banks individually, then a banking hub is probably the only suitable idea that can accommodate the needs of a population. It's just an idea, put it there for you to think about.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sean.
Okay, let's get on and move to the rest of the meeting. Minutes. Are there any corrections? I've got a correction for the minutes from last time. Are there any other corrections before I? Okay, well, why don't I have a bit of a word here. So there's the item that we had about the trees. Item 7.3. Right. 7.4, major item on the agenda, Hurakawa trees and Mapanoni. I draw your attention to item D. Please include as a background the contrast between the policy and the decision to put the footpath near the Hurakawa trees, and they should have read, and the refusal to consider amenity lighting around the trees. So we had to contrast the two. So is everybody happy with that? With that change?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Any other changes? Any other corrections? Okay. So does someone wish to move? Okay. So the minutes as corrected.
I'll second that.
Okay. All those in favour?
Aye.
Thank you, Louis.
Hey, Louis.
Okay.
Aye.
Project funding reports. 7.1. Do I move for that?
Yeah.
I'll second.
Okay, Vucic, Tefania, that the Kaikohe-Hokianga community will note the project report received from the Kaikohe Business Association, the one received from Youth Line, one received on the thank you letter from Mukoto Suzuki Guest. So, does anyone wish to speak? No? All those in favour? Anybody against? Carried. Thank you, Louis. Okay, so we'll go on to funding applications.
Oh, I've got a question about funding.
Okay, so does someone wish to move some kind of motion, perhaps without the numbers? Or do you
Yeah,
wish
I'll
to-
move.
There's only two of them. Do you want to take them separate?
Okay, can we take it separate, I think?
Okay, and the question is, before we take it separate, does anyone wish to speak of anything that requires a public exclusion? Yeah. No? Okay, right, I'll take the first one. Who wishes to take the to move
I
first?
want to have to kick Sean out.
Sorry?
Wheel him out.
Okay, so the motion was for the first one, is it, Louis?
Yeah, I'll
With the
move the
money.
first one.
With the money?
Yeah, with the money.
Okay, the Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Board approves the sum of 2575 to be paid from the board's community fund account for Hokianga Historical Society for the purchase of a lawnmower, line trimmer, laminated signage, advertising and cell phone to support the following community outcomes: proud, vibrant communities and the unique culture and heritage. Do I have a second for that?
Yeah.
Okay, right. Anybody wish to talk to it? Louis, I'll let you talk to it first.
Just a point with regard to volunteer hours. There seems to be, people seem to be forgetting it or putting it in the wrong place, as this was the case here. So, making it a bit confusing, but I think it's a good spend of our money.
Cool. Anybody else?
And they got some quotes from Kaikohe.
They've learned.
Yeah, awesome.
Any more? All those in favour?
Aye.
Those against? Carried. Right, second one.
Without the dollar.
Okay, so Kelly moves that the board approves the sum of blank to be paid from the board's community fund account to Living Theatre Trust for the purchase of 120 tickets to the Matarihi Glow Show 2022 at the Turner Centre. Got a second?
Without the thing, yes, I'll
Yes,
second
mate.
it.
Okay, right. Kelly, would you like to, you're the mover, you got the first dibs.
Did they put an application into Hiku as well?
Yes, so through the chair, they have applied to Hiku Community Board who allocated them funding at their last meeting.
How much?
How much?
So it was around about the low 2000s as well.
So were they giving out 120 tickets in Kaikohe as well, or is?
Yes, yeah, so there was 120 tickets and they're also putting the show on at Te Ako.
So why don't they put the show on it
Memhall.
over here? I have a question, actually.
Yeah, go for it.
I'm a bit reluctant to actually giving so much money in order to get these tickets, because I want to know who's going to give out the tickets.
The Bald Angels.
Eh?
That's what it says.
So through the chair, the Bald Angels Charitable Trust will be.
Yeah, but the fact is, they don't even know our community.
These
How do
tickets
we
will
know
be
that?
purchased by our trust and given to Bald Angels to be given out to whānau in these areas. All the Bald Angels cousins.
I just object to that because
Others so too, they could go and give these 120 tickets out to people that live in Hangaru or out here. And the kids are not going to be able to get there.
that's right, yeah. But I'm just sorry that they're not here to actually answer those questions.
Well, it's under $3,000, so they don't have to.
Yeah, I know that, but it's still quite a bit of money to give out just to purchase tickets. I mean, how do we know they're going to be given to the people in Kaikohe, in this area?
I think that's a little bit too much. And they do make this like, we would like to give 60 tickets to each show. Well, they're not really gifting them.
The Kaikohe-Hokianga
Yeah.
Community Board are.
Is gifting them.
That's right.
And look at their email. We would be very grateful to receive gift tickets from your organisation. Pass it on to our disadvantaged children in the community.
Yeah, well, this is like,
But you could have something like this that
I want to know how to say their name though.
You know, this Matariki Glow show.
See that? SNJEZANA. Snajanen. Interesting.
I don't mind.
Kelly,
if
They'll
they
have to do
don't
a funding report,
You can do something like this.
afterwards to say, you
give
know,
them enough space.
can we request that in that report we get told, you know, how many kids and what areas of our ward they were from?
And did they turn up?
And if they turned up, I don't know. Just more fuller than it was a great event and we gave away the 60 tickets. I'd like to.
Through the chair, that should be achievable because they're electronic tickets, so when they see the tickets on arrival
Yeah.
at the Turner Centre, they should be able to reply, you know, to track that. So that definitely should be possible.
So as the way Bald Angels works is you register, they've got a list of kids who will get hooked up or something.
Who are the Bald Angels?
Yeah, this question wasn't it?
Bald Angels Charitable Trust. Ngā anahera Pākira, that's funny.
Where do they live? Where's that?
That's on the additional info thing. The letter of support.
Oh no.
They're a Guinness World Record holder too.
Oh, big deal.
Sponsor a Kiwi kid. I'm feeling slightly positive today, so I'm going to just say let's just do it. Tahiku did it. Did Bay of Islands Whangarua do it?
Through the chair, I'm not too sure if they applied to Bay of Islands Whangaroa, just because I don't.
They don't have disadvantaged children in Bay of Islands
No,
Whangaroa.
they don't.
That was not my point.
They don't have to what? What was that?
Do they not have disadvantaged children in Bay of Islands Whangaroa who need free tickets?
I do have a question, Mr. Chair, and that is that ticket price the full price? Because I understand that the Turner Centre has actually requested funding from council so they can actually, which was to actually support subsidised tickets to locals. So I'm not sure what this actually is, whether it's a subsidised price
Double dipping.
or double dipping.
You could actually have it at your school.
We've got one on Tuesday, Arco's Glow Toi Marama. Is that our kura?
What's the point in them doing one? And
I do know when they bring that variety show to the Turner Centre and they give out tickets, Nate, through Women's Refuge and maybe Ball Games and things like that. And there is a lot of kids that go that from our area. We got tickets and we went, the show was done, but there was lots of local people in that audience. So that they do make an effort.
I think Brook Angels in favour of them. I think they're an excellent group and they're trying to do what is good and also be supported. So I don't have an issue with that. So I am a bit disappointed that we don't have the necessary information here to get a clearer picture of what's going on. So I'm a bit like Nick, I'm happy to say we'll support them, but I would like some additional information coming back and just how effective it has been. How many kids from this area, including the transportation problems that they do have, to get to Kurikuri, and also whether this was the full price being charged.
Camille, did they apply to community creative communities?
No.
They didn't this year.
why don't we try and bring that Jerry Paul at the Turner Centre?
Or we could just buy 60 tickets for one of the shows.
Well, why don't we go there now? The Kelly.
General admission is $18, I think.
It's what number for Kelly?
$1,110, that's 60 tickets for the afternoon show.
Lorry number?
Overall support. What? I find it hard to support them, however. I'd rather support our pioneer village and look after our own.
Yeah.
Okay, John?
I'll go with Kelly's figure there. I like the additional information coming back.
Emma?
Yeah, I will go with that figure with the additional information coming back as well.
Okay. Helen?
Yes. I'll go with that figure as well.
Okay, Mopple?
Yeah.
It's going to be reluctant.
60 tickets to the afternoon show.
Yeah.
And Louis?
Yeah, you said there was a show up at Kaikohe as well, wasn't there, at the TO? Would people from the North Hokianga be going to that?
Do you want them to?
Yeah, we want to see people.
Do you want them to, Louis? Do you want them to? Okay, well, yeah, Kim will make a note. Yep. Right, so the number is 1110. All those in favour?
Aye.
Anybody against? Carried.
Moko, can I just ask you a question? When is it on Thursday night? Is it
This Thursday night.
at your school?
Yep, and then Friday night at Te Kaikohe-Hokianga.
Oh, is it? Oh, at Hokianga one.
Remember last year they just did a big one here in
Yeah.
town? They're going 3 over.
Oh, sorry, Laurie, you mentioned you wanted to give money to the Pioneer Village.
Well,
Do we have a project?
uh,
Do you have a project in mind?
no, I just want to keep it alive because I know it's struggling at the moment because of COVID. And we seem to have quite a bit of money left over, and I'd like to see something go from that to keep it going. I understand there's only 3 or 4 going through a week and that can't sustain that. And I think they just need a little bit of help just to keep going. And I wouldn't mind moving in that direction, that we actually take it out of it. I know the application hasn't been made. A letter came from Kelly in the first place to council to help support it. But it is an important part of our history,
Yeah.
and we need to support it somehow. And you know, all these others are all very nice, yeah, that's great, but it's something I'd like to support.
What do you do for Matariki at the Pioneer Village, particularly?
We did a storytelling for children. We're finished.
Okay.
Just
Okay,
a point,
information.
just if I make a point that this is a new funding amount, so there shouldn't, there's a lot of money in it because we have got to make it last for the whole year.
Yeah. I'll bring your ideas, and we'll cover them off over the next couple of months, eh?
Yep.
Okay, next item, information reports. Item 8.1. Does somebody wish to make a motion there?
8.1. Our action sheet.
It's just an action sheet. Yeah.
Move.
Okay, Moka moves. Do I second it?
Yep.
Alan, thank you. They moved and seconded that the Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Board received the report to Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Board action sheet update July 2022. Does anyone wish to talk about it?
Yep.
Yep.
I haven't got a copy in front of me, but I'm wondering, when are they going to start to work on the wharf at Amapri? I'm wondering when they're going to start to work on the foreshore at Priest Park. There's a lot of things that aren't getting resolved yet. Is there any updates on any of those things that are down there?
Which item is this? Which number is this? Just so
I
we go
haven't
straight to it.
Yeah, number,
Oh, okay.
number 3, I think. We've done the top
Okay.
of page.
On Mapri Wharf. So the last we heard it was 24th of May.
Yeah. Is it going to be? I know they say it's going to be done, but it'd be nice to know when. And yeah, that's one.
Okay, so Molly was going to email you or email us, Louis, once she gets a check-up. That's cool.
Okay.
So Molly with us this meeting is going to do that. Now, just on that, it might be worth, so we can, when you ask the question in the meeting, just to ask those questions a few days before the meeting, so we can just give the staff an opportunity just to update us, because it should only be one or two lines, right? I mean, that's all you're after, just a, yes, we're going to do it.
And I'm not sure what's happened to the Freeze Park thing. I thought that was on our action sheet. I don't think it's there anymore. Is that going to go ahead?
Freeze Park has got $1.2 million in the current annual plan that was adopted last week, so that should be happening this financial year. And also, I think it was $50,000 for the playground for Freeze Park as well, for this annual plan.
Okay.
So the money's there. Now they just need to do the main.
Okay.
And it's eroding, rather than 1 point something metres a year, it's doing eroding about 5 metres a year. It's really something that should be done with urgency. So that's something that I'm seriously disappointed that it's not being done. Given that, how many years ago was it, Alan, that you got a quote to fix the whole job?
About 4 years ago, 5 years ago.
Okay, and now there's one thing that's not on here, and it's only because we didn't do the outstanding action report until much later. But it's something we were discussing earlier today, and that is the request for delegations to a community board around halls. Does anybody wish to know more about that? Yes. I mean, I don't know whether it's a place in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to maybe once we close that off, just make a motion to ask that of the CEO. So, yeah.
Actually, there were two motions that were supposed to be put forward.
Yeah.
One is a progress report.
Yeah. Okay, we'll just do that. Any further questions or comments on this item? Okay, we'll close it up. All those in favour? All against? Carried. Okay, so we have a request from Emma here for to discuss the Kaikohe Hall and Hall delegations. And to find out more. So because it's not on the agenda, normally we can't do that. But given two reasons, given two bits of information why we discussed it before today, why wasn't it on the agenda and why can't it wait, we can perhaps discuss it today. So Emma, why wasn't it on the, why didn't we get it on the agenda?
Why do we need it on the agenda?
Why wasn't it on the agenda? Anyway, you got any ideas why it might not be on the agenda?
Oh, because it's of no interest.
Okay, right. So
that's how I see it. But the reason why I brought it up, I mean, we're almost the end of our term.
Well, that's a great reason it's got to be done now and not later. Okay, great. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so
and for the last 2 terms, we've had no use. I mean, the community have had no use of that hall.
Okay, so we've got those two explanations. So I move that the board discusses and deals with the issue of getting information from Kaikohe Hall and delegations. Do I have a seconder?
Yep.
Okay. All those in favour of the discussion? Aye. Great. Okay, so Emma wishes to move that we ask for a progress report on the Kaikohe Hall and ask for a progress report on the delegations to the community board with regard to the halls that was asked for 2 years or 3 years ago. Do I have a seconder for that?
Yep.
And does anybody wish to discuss, or is it complete in this in the motion?
I think it's complete in the motion.
Can I just ask a question with regard to the hall? We gave some money to the bowling club and they were going to put the tanks at the hall. Did that ever happen?
Yeah, they've got tanks there. And I mean, at the moment, people are using the bowling club because they can't use the hall.
Yeah.
The bowling club is too small.
Yeah. So we gave the money for some water tanks and they were going to locate them near the hall.
Well, that's the only area they can put it in, that's why.
Sorry, missed that.
So the answer to your question is, Louis, is yes.
Okay, thank you.
Who owns it?
Council?
Who owns the hall?
Council.
Council owns the hall?
I think so, yeah.
They should be looking after it without you having to ask.
I know.
Yeah, for the last 2 terms,
Last 2 terms would be...
Last 6 years.
that had no use of that hall at all. And I mean, in the early days, I remember my husband and I coming back several times and we were always at that hall. Now, it's just not of use.
Yep.
It's a community hall. It needs to be used, and the council has stood on the way of progress to try and get it going. Okay, there may not be funding, but I think it's time that it's fixed up because the community needs a hall.
Yeah.
And as I understand, Mr. Chair, from my speakers, that's one of the reasons you're looking at the delegation. There's clearly 6 years of no progress is acceptable. And the community board, I'm sure, could do a better job than that with one eye closed and two hands behind their back.
I think so.
And I remember us having a meeting at the very beginning of our, when we first started, about 6 years ago, and that was at the Pioneer Village. And the two people were there regarding that hall.
Yeah.
And they said there was going to be so much money allocated. It was a lot, over 400,000, if I remember.
Yeah.
There's been no progress at all.
No, okay, all those in favour?
Through the chair, we didn't second it.
Yeah, we do.
I second.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Or, Alan.
And I moved it.
Well, we've already done a discussion. So, all those in favour, sorry?
Aye.
Anybody against? Carried. Thank you. Right, I think that's it.
What time is, what's my book coming?
Closing the meeting.
Who the Elizabeth?
Elizabeth.
12 o'clock is scheduled, so you've got time in between to have some lunch.
Okay, right, meeting closed, let's have lunch and meet back here to hear about footpaths.
Joshua, can you end the live stream, please?
Do you want a cup of tea, Sean? Yep. Do I bring it to you?
No, I'll come. Would you like a cup of tea,
No
Louis?
doubt about it, sure.
Oh, yes, please. Hanging out for.
I can bring it to you. I've got to use something like that.
On this end here.
We've given money for the Taco show, haven't we, Moko? We gave money twice, sorry, for 2 years, didn't we, for the Taco show?
I mean, you could start, or I need to vote.
They don't come to us, you don't think of us.
No, I didn't, because I got